There's like a full-on party under me, and there's like these railings on the catwalk, and my pee is hitting the railings and just sprinkling, and people are doing like coke and shit, and I just peed on like so many people.
Can you walk us through putting liquid acid in your eyeballs, please?
I mean, I wouldn't do it myself. I'd
You
have
never
my friends
did it.
do it. No. Other people put acid in my eyes.
And
I put acid in people's
what
eyes.
happens?
Every night I would take a shower at 9:55 because lights out was at 10. And I like to take a hot shower to help me sleep. And this dude named Officer Caldwell, and that's his real name, and I'm using it on purpose. He turned off the hot water early while I was
Bastard.
in the shower. Yeah. And he said that. She was like, why don't you take a shower tomorrow? And I lost. I was like, why don't you suck my d-?
And welcome, Sam Miller.
Yeah.
Comedian.
Yeah.
Fucking host of the Tarp Report podcast. On the road. Fucking 2 huge suitcases full of merch.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
To be 100% honest, one of those suitcases is only half full of merch.
What's that? What else is in there?
My clothes.
All right, that's good.
Yeah,
I figured you had to bring clothes.
I gotta change clothes. I've been warned.
So
You know,
you're
old behaviors.
For sure. So you're doing a show in Queens, and
Yes,
then you're
sir.
going to Boston. I think this will air after those shows, so we can't promote it. Is there anything we can promote besides the Tarp Report?
Like Sam Miller Comedy on Facebook and Sam Miller Comedian on Instagram. Those are the platforms that I'm active on. I got some stuff on YouTube, but I'm not super active on YouTube. I should be, but I'm tired of social media, so I'm not. I'll do the Facebook and the Instagram. I got that stuff dialed in. I got a good following on both, and I've worked really hard at it, and it's going well. So
I'm horrible at the social media stuff. It's I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I can't talk for some reason. I can't talk to the camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, going live is the worst when you're by yourself and you're just trying to do a live, and like I really struggle with that. And that's what it tells me. That's what the algorithm says to do.
It wants you to do that.
Yeah.
But your shit that's so good is the stand-up bits.
Yeah, and that's easy. So what I'll do is I'll get a 45-minute set and I'll watch it, and then I find like the 30-second and 90-second chunks that work by themselves.
Do you do it, or do you send it to Opus?
No, I do it. I don't do the AI stuff. I send it to a guy though. So I send the raw video to a guy and I give him the timestamps and like, this is the sentence that it starts. This is the sentence that it ends. And it's funny because my video guy, he's like a security guard at an old person home. And I'm pretty sure people are just robbing those old people blind because he ain't doing nothing.
He's sitting there fucking doing your comedy videos.
He's editing my videos, man.
My video guy is a Indian guy in India.
Yeah.
He told me his name was Justin, but I don't think that's really his name.
Probably not.
And it used to be this Moroccan guy.
Yeah.
And I'm so horrible and stupid with social media that I think I just struggle watching the podcast or listening to the podcast.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So I just give it to somebody who does. English is not their first language. They're not in recovery.
Yeah.
They know nothing of this. And I say, why don't you try to pick the best clips?
Yeah.
That's my method.
That's really nice. And it works?
No, it doesn't work at all. It's fucking horrible. It's the dumbest idea.
See, so how many episodes do you record a week?
It depends. You know, it depends on the week. This week, I'm going to record this.
Yeah.
My dad hasn't been on the show in a while, so I'm going to record with him, but he doesn't know it yet. He's got a lot of complaints. He's been away all winter. He just came back.
Okay.
And he's very...
I don't think he'll complain about me. I hope not.
No, he's going to complain about me.
He's going to complain about you? Why is he complaining about you?
Because we just built this studio, and he obviously allowed it.
Yeah.
But he allowed it so he could really complain about it.
Oh, nice. Let's go.
It wasn't like...
I like that.
He wants to be supportive, but complaining is more fun. I think it's a Jewish thing where complaining is just a really thing that brings us together.
You know what's funny? The guy who runs my record label, Dan Schlissel, he's like a Jewish dude, and I've met Jewish folks in comedy, but I'm from the Northwest.
Not a lot of Jews.
Not a lot of Jews. And the first time I was ever in a diverse environment was while I was incarcerated, and also not a lot of Jews that I was locked up with. Yeah.
But that's like, it's funny because New York is probably the biggest concentration of Jews in the world. And I grew up here, and this building is like 80% old Jews, and my high school was probably 50%, 40% Jews.
Yeah.
A lot of Jews. But I want to hear about your story.
Okay.
You grew up in Washington?
Yeah, I grew up outside of Tacoma in this town called Spanaway.
Sounds amazing.
It wasn't. No, man. It was kind of strange because we grew up, it was me and my mom and my dad. And I have older brothers and sisters, but they're all half brothers and half sisters from previous relationships my dad had. So my dad was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. He flew fighter planes in Vietnam and real hotshot kind of dude. And he had a family at every Air Force base on like the West Coast. And we're like the McCord family. And wow. I was not. He had me. He was 56, I think, when he had me. And it was an accident. My mom didn't want kids. He didn't want another kid.
How many families did your dad have?
I think 3 before my mom.
Wow.
And he had 2 exes, but yeah. Yeah, my mom was his 3rd. Yeah.
Did it become like a real family, or was he going from family to family?
Man, some of this stuff, and I'll talk about it, man. He was getting started on number 4. The thing is, though, is that he died when I was 12. So there's a plot twist for you. So like it was, yeah, it was bad. He retired from the Air Force. I think it was like 5 or 6. And then his drinking got kind of wild. And then here's the thing about my dad, though, is that like I actually liked him more when he was drinking because he was such a prick when he was sober. But I hated him when he was blacked out. And there was just like a lot of drama, man. Like, and I don't mean like yelling drama. I mean like guns and shit. Like he was just a maniac that was raised by maniacs and wound up raising a maniac. Yeah. It's funny how that works. Yeah.
It's generational.
Like there was stuff like I remember getting off the school bus and seeing my dad like holding a gun to the neighbor and stuff like that. Because
can you explain that?
Yeah. He got drunk and put the moves on the neighbor's wife, this lady named Linda. And
that's my wife's name.
Oh, okay. Different Linda. He was confronted. This is what I read in a police report. He was confronted by Bruce. And at which point my dad went home and got his gun and came back.
So what did Bruce do?
Bruce probably yelled at him and told him to leave his wife alone.
So your dad brings the pistol.
Yeah.
And what does Bruce do then?
I think Bruce cowered.
I would cower.
Yeah,
totally.
Dude, yes.
What else are you going to do?
I know, right?
Have a gunfight?
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking horrible.
I'm sure Bruce was like armed. But yeah, dude, it was a mess. The other weird thing is, so check this out. So I was probably like 10 or whatever. And I remember I got into like a lot of trouble for something. And my dad would always take me to McDonald's. Like that was like our thing. And he got into this big thing with the neighbor, Bruce. And like, but I was best friends with Bruce's daughter, right? We were like friends, right? And we convinced them independently to let us ride bikes up and down the driveway together because there wasn't a lot of other kids around, you know? Anyway, I screwed up and I went into Bruce's garage and I wasn't supposed to do that. And there was hell to pay.
What did Bruce do?
No, not from Bruce, from my dad, because he knew I wasn't supposed to be in there. And that was like the thing.
In the chronology of your dad wanting to fuck Linda, where was it at that point?
This is after that happened.
After the gun incident.
They're not still like, I'm still playing with Sarah, knowing full well that he held her at a gunpoint. But like, I was such a little punk, dude. Like, I would just be like, dude, come on, please. Like, there's nobody else. Me and Sarah want to hang out. And Sarah's doing the same thing with her dad because we were homies. Like I didn't have a lot of other people. And she was like a couple years older than me. And there was never anything weird between us. But like, anyway, I get in trouble because I was in Bruce's garage, right? And my dad finds out. He confronts me about it. And I get a spanking, as he called them, which were pretty wild because my dad was like my size. And like, anyway.
What was a spanking?
It was rough, dude. It was like teeth rattling kind of deal because he'd really get after it.
Was it the butt or was it really blows to the head?
It was the butt. But there was times, the thing about my dad and like his physical stuff was what would happen is he'd get so upset that he would shove me. and he'd shove me so hard that I'd bounce off of stuff. Stuff like that. But anyway, I got in a lot of trouble. And then we're doing that thing, like, after you get your ass whooped or whatever, and then you have like that makeup time. And like, I'm sitting there with my dad, and I was like, yeah, I know, I'll never go in there again. And it's crazy. I didn't know Bruce was like so into gardening, and his garage is full. So Bruce had like a huge weed grow in his garage, and I was like 9 or something and didn't know what that was. My dad knew what it was. Bruce worked for the school district. He was a groundskeeper, and his wife was a teacher at the school district. And Bruce was stealing fertilizer from the school district. So he got fired. His wife got fired. He went to prison for like a year.
For stealing the fertilizer?
No, for growing weed.
So how did that all come out?
Because my dad narked him off.
Wow.
And I dry snitched because I didn't understand what was going
Bruce
on. I didn't mean to. I didn't know. Yeah.
Post-beating, you're like, oh, Dad, by the way, your fucking mortal enemy is growing weed.
And dude, this is the part that kills me, is that like they were destitute. Like it ruined, because she got fired too. And when Bruce got out, he got some money together and he bought a septic tank truck. And then, like, that's what happened. Like, he
got his life together.
No, he just pumped septic tanks. I mean, it was better than just nothing.
To me, my favorite thing is how joyful you get when that he's so destitute. And your father,
bonkers,
I know,
dude.
but I think that's the philosophy that drew you to our show, to light up at the worst part of the story.
Oh, dude, it was terrible, dude. Yeah.
So when do you like start getting high and whatever?
Man, just huffing, dude. Like just huffing, man.
Huffing what?
Gas, glue, anything I could get my hand on. How does that
come across the?
I don't. You know what's weird about it, man, is that I can give you like a range. I was probably between like 6 and 8.
No way.
And like this is the thing though, right? Is it starts out and it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to change the way I feel with this. But like, that's what was going on, is that I like the way it made me feel, especially with like the rubber cement and stuff like that in school. And like, that was easy because it was around. And I remember my dad catching me huffing gas because I didn't really know that it was that illicit. And it's not like, there's no strategy here. I'd literally be at the gas station and sticking my nose like in the gas tank of this truck.
I've been doing this show almost 10 years, and I've never heard of a 6 to 8 year old huffer.
Really?
And I haven't heard anyone sniffing a gas tank.
Really?
So what can you remember about this experience?
I remember one time huffing gas and getting the worst headache that I've ever got in my life, and like really getting scared and realizing that like, I remember thinking it's like my body's trying to tell me something, and like that was about it. Like that was pretty much it for huffing outside of nitrous. Once I got to high school, the other thing too is that drinking, like in my family, was like a joke for kids to drink. It was funny. So like there's actually a picture of me drinking an Alaskan Amber long neck, and my brother, who's in recovery now too. And I was 4 or 5, and I'm, drinking a beer and stuff like that. And this is the part my brother cracks this up too, is it's not just that like I'm 4 or 5 and I'm drinking, but somebody saw that and they were like, oh yeah, click.
Well, it's like you're younger than me. How old are you?
42.
Okay, you're 40. It's still though, it's like that's the kind of thing that a little bit of an older crowd loves to take pictures of kids drinking beers, and it's become less and less kind of good.
Yeah.
Maybe that's going to change, though. I could see like it becoming a new trend again.
Coming back around.
Yeah, I could see that coming back around.
Yeah.
But do you remember, when do you start like enjoying it? When do you start being like, this is going to be what I do?
So when my dad passed away, I was 12 and just right in there. And I remember, I was middle school. I think I was in 7th grade, and I smoked pot out of a pop can with matches. And I had been around weed, and I was lifting weights because I'm a huge dude. I was going to be a football player. And I remember lifting weights and being high for the first time. And you know what's weird is it wasn't just that it snapped for me and I was like, there was that feeling where like, oh, like this is what's been wrong with me. I'm not high. Like now I'm high and everything rules. And then also along with that, I was like, That's why everybody else is happy. Everyone's high. Like every happy person I ever saw on TV, because I was miserable. I was always just miserable. I never remember being like, okay. Like I was always like, I always had to be stupid happy or like stupid sad. There was no like, I couldn't just be calm and okay. And like, I remember thinking about everybody I've ever seen on TV that was smiling like they were high. And like everybody I know in my life, like they're just like this. And now I'm like this. And now I'm great too, like they are.
Who did you stumble upon weed with?
I don't really remember the exact kid, but it was like
that's interesting in itself. You don't remember the first time you smoked?
I don't remember a lot. No, I remember the first time I smoked, and I remember that it was with these kids, and I remember that we were supposed to be in detention. But we like skipped detention, and I remember that they were looking for a can, and I wanted so bad to be accepted, and like I like found the can.
You were like, right?
Yeah.
You were useful.
Yeah. I was like, I'm part of the team.
Did you fall in love with weed?
Oh God, yes.
Are you still in love with weed a little bit? I'm still in love with weed. I recently had this foot injury, right?
Yeah.
And like really, it turned out I had tendonitis and gout at the same time.
Okay.
Fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Misery.
Yeah.
And I do these recovery Zooms on Wednesday, and I have a friend in the recovery Zoom who had a bad hip injury, and he's sober 16 years.
Yeah.
And he started using THC cream on his hip, and I was making fun of him that he relapsed and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got THC cream for my toe because I'm in love with weed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't really help my toe, but it smelled like weed, and I had to go to a few bud stores to get it.
Yeah.
And like,
it doesn't change the way you feel, though. It's not.
It didn't change. It didn't even make it feel better. And a woman in our community sent me the cream. So shout out Lizanne.
Yeah.
She hooked it up. But I was in love. I'm still in love with weed.
Yeah. I like the idea of weed being like this like training wheels drug that like, but like weed culture I make fun of weed a lot because
it's so stupid.
Well, it is. And like it's also like this idea of like, I remember, I love this story. So I used to get high with this dude named Withdrawal, right? This Indian dude, right? And I remember this is back when I had an answering machine, and his dumbass calls my mom's house. I'm like 14, right? And he's talking, he's like, Sam, it is your Indian friend Vishwa. He's like, would you like to partake in some chronification? And I was like, yeah, like, and I made it to the answering machine in time. And then my mom knew that I was going to go get high with Vishwa.
She knew what chronification was?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, she knew that I'm an idiot,
right.
And he's an idiot.
Right.
And he's talking like an idiot, and I'm stoned all the time.
Right.
You know, it's not a lot of detective work on her part. But I remember like 4 years after that, Vishwa got his medical card. And like, I remember running into him in downtown Olympia being like, hey man, you want to get high? And he's like, that's cannabis. That's my medicine. And I was like, whoa, you've changed.
He probably didn't serve a lot of time in prison and wound up homeless on meth.
No. He didn't want to partake in any chronification anymore. He wanted to
get well.
He did wind up in prison though.
Okay. So, shout out Vishwa.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So when does it go, like, and give us like a little chronology of when you fall into these different drugs, and how miserable are you in high school? Are you just a stoner?
Oh God.
Are you a dirtbag? Did you play football? What happened?
It's like, it's chaos is number one. When everything changed was when I was 15. And I think I was ending my freshman year, maybe beginning of my sophomore year. And so I was prescribed Ritalin at a young age, right? I was like,
I wish they had done that for me.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Like, I wish that had happened for me.
But I had started selling my Ritalin, and buying weed, and I got caught. I was in school suspension, and I got caught selling my Ritalin. I didn't have any Ritalin on me. They could never prove that I was selling my Ritalin, but I did have some weed on me. And it was this thing. So I didn't know that they knew that I had weed on me. I didn't know all this stuff was going on behind the scenes. So I'm in school suspension for my math class. And then I go to my next class, which was Mr. Atwell's class, who was a wonderful teacher who I loved, and actually like Western civilizations. I was really into it. I love history, right? And anyway, I'm sitting in class, and then here comes, his name was Dusty Pierpoint. He wound up becoming the chief of Lacey Police. And he hated me and my friends. He was the shittiest cop, dude. Like, everybody hated him. He ran for Congress in Washington. Nobody voted for him.
What's his name? Dusty what?
Dusty Pierpoint.
Amazing.
He was such a turd. And we'd always see him. We'd be like, "What's up, Officer Pierpoint?" And he'd be like, "It's Lieutenant." We're like, "Cool, dude." Anyway, he arrested me in class to like make a point. Like, it was like this thing where he was like going to scare the other students by arresting me. And like, low key, I was like such an attention whore that like I felt like a badass.
Well, you got major street cred.
Yeah. I was like, "You guys don't got shit on me. I didn't do nothing, man. Fuck you guys." Blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm going off. And then he takes me to a room, and there's my mom. And then I immediately start crying. I'm like, "Oh my God, my mom," you know, like she's the key to like all this shit, basically. Like, me getting sober and me. But this was the turning point, though, is that there was this long table, right? And I was on one side, and my mom was standing up when I came in, and there was the cop, the assistant principal, and then my mom sat on the other table with them. And at that point, I was done. I said, "That's it. Like, this is like war." Like, I was so alone in that moment. I wanted so bad just to have somebody on my team.
It's like you were in the opposite of surrender.
Yeah. Everybody, I'm like, okay, so like, I love my mom, and I'm like, fuck the school, fuck the cops, but I love my mom. And
but I can't change.
But she sat with them, and she knows that. And they're like, we talked about this when I'm in my recovery stuff and going through my stuff. She knows that what that meant.
Huge resentment moment.
Oh man. And then you know, and then I'm in this cycle of like inpatient, outpatient, probation, diversion,
institutionalization.
I never got out of it until I think 2003 was the last time I did time. But to answer your question about it, so like, it was weed, psychedelics, cocaine, meth. Like, that's just the progression. And it was like, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it, because like they would interject themselves and then they would pull away. And it was more like what I was around. And I'm known in my comedy for like this meth stuff, but honestly, I was doing way more grimy shit when me and my friends were doing coke in high school. Like, that's when we were doing like grimy. I'm sure you've had people in here talking about like return scams and crap like that.
I love that stuff.
Okay, good.
I love that stuff. That's what my dad does. My dad can't believe all the stuff that I did.
Yeah.
But when I'm on when we're doing a show and someone starts talking about stuff like that, and I love it. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" Yeah. But that's what we did.
Yeah.
So grimy coke stuff. When's the first time? Do you remember the first time you do coke?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, I love this story. This cracks me up. So check this out, right? The first time I did coke was also the first night I ate acid.
Oh, good.
I was 14. I was in Ohio. I was at the farm my mom grew up on. I'm going to not use some names here because whatever, but I'm hanging out. You can
call them all Vichwa.
I'm hanging out with them. Yeah, my cousins Vichwa.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with cousins, and yeah, man. Wound up doing a bunch of coke, doing a bunch of acid. I think I wound up taking like 4 hits of acid my first time.
After coke first or acid first?
Coke, acid, and then while I was waiting for the acid to kick in, we had to go get more coke. Yeah. I'd never done coke before. I've never done a drug that immediately I was like, I've never, like weed, it was like, yeah, I want to smoke more weed eventually. But cocaine, I was like, nah, this is, and the first time I did coke was like the first time I got high on anything. I was like, oh, this is it. Like a stimulant? Like, yeah. Why not? You know, perfect. Yeah, it was like
how much acid had you done before that?
None. This is my first time eating acid coke. Oh, so check this out, right? So I'm eating this acid. I eat acid. We're in this like dilapidated house. It's the old farmhouse, and they had moved into the new farmhouse. We watched Predator, right?
Boy. Classic acid film.
No, dude, it ruled. It wasn't scary at all. I was like, this is just a great movie, right? Anyway, the acid is just like, it's going wild. And I remember I was on the porch smoking a cigarette, and
14 years old.
Yeah. On coke, on acid, smoking a cigarette. The freaking, it's Ohio, thunderstorm, right? I'm on the porch and there's this thunderstorm and I'm so into it. But then somehow I got it in my head that my deceased father, who had died 2 years, my dad died when I was 12. I got it in my head that my dad was like the thunderstorm and that he was mad at me.
Might all have been true.
Maybe, jury's out. Okay. And I wound up, so there's all this corn, it's Ohio. And I did, man. I wound up crawling through a muddy cornfield, hiding from my dad, the thunderstorm.
Wow.
But here's the thing, right? And I always have felt like this. Like, I love my recovery more than anything, but I do not regret psychedelics. And I needed to go through that experience. And I came out the other side of that better. Like, it helped me work through some stuff.
It definitely gives you perspective that you probably aren't going to get.
Yeah. And I am not, if anyone here is in recovery, I am not advocating for, like, I would never use psychedelics now, because I really like that idea of, like, there's a stop right there, and then it's no mind altering substance. Like,
what about THC cream? Do you have a problem with that?
It depends on what part of my body it's on.
Right. No masturbating with THC cream?
Yeah. If I'm just rubbing it on my tongue for hours.
That's probably a relapse. But you support me in my gout THC cream?
Dude, okay, I think you should.
It didn't work, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I want to
You
talk.
like the smell, though. Yeah.
I mean, I do. I love the smell. My neighbor doesn't stop smoking weed. Like, he's smoking weed in his window faces my 15-year-old's window. And she's constantly like, my room stinks of weed. And it's like, she's not supposed to know what weed smells like, you know, like, and it's like, she seems very innocent to me.
Yeah.
But she's constantly talking about weed smell now. She hasn't mentioned that the creams.
It's such a distinctive smell. And my thing with weed and the smell and legalization is, to me, it's just incredibly boring. Like, I used to walk through different neighborhoods in Seattle or something like that, or other bigger cities, and I'd be like, ooh, onions, you know, ooh, curry, and whatever smells there are, if there's weed around, it's just like, it's such a strong smell.
No, New York, like 5 years ago or whatever, didn't smell like it does now. Now it just smells like weed.
Yeah.
But what about, you know, I loved psychedelics, but I also found them to be like a lot of work. Like, it was not a relaxing time, psychedelics. And at some point, I don't think I did a psychedelic after I was 27 or something. I don't think I did another one. But obviously, in recovery now, there are so many people who are advocating psychedelics and like all this stuff. I haven't taken one because I am with you in terms of drawing a line, but really for me, it's more fear. Like, I feel like if I did a psychedelic, I would want to smoke weed. If I smoked weed, I would want to smoke weed every day. And then I don't know what would happen. Do you have any kind of take on this newfangled school of microdosing, ayahuasca, ibogaine, all this stuff, fucking legal mushrooms, all this stuff?
See, you could probably tell by that cackle that I just emitted. But like, that's got nothing to do with me.
Right.
I try to stay in my lane, man. When I was early in recovery, I tended to be like a lot more judgmental, which is funny because I knew less at that point. And like, it says in some of the literature that like we don't have a monopoly on whatever. But see, the thing is that like, I love like 12-step, like full sobriety stuff. Like and I also believe that I have had psychedelic experiences without psychedelics, just like by like taking risks and like trying to live as genuine of a life as I can. And like, I don't know, because for me, if I took acid, or mushrooms, I might not get high, and there might be some usefulness to that, but it triggers that craving. Like, I had to take a Flexerol. Like, I had a Mormon doctor. He knows I'm in recovery. I had muscle spasms in my neck. I took it as prescribed. It did not get me high. It made me a little bit drowsy. That was it. But man, as I laid my head down, like, in Sesame Street when they have like the talking number 2,
Tell me
Like,
about the talking number 2.
There's like this talking number 2 from Sesame Street, and it's like a puppet, but it's the number 2.
Okay.
So I take 1. I'm prescribed 2, but I'm like, I'll just take 1. I just want to get some sleep. Take less than prescribed, you know? And then as I lay my head down, I close my eyes and I have a vision of this cloud, and out of the cloud comes the talking number 2. Whoa, what about 2?
No, I had hernia surgery in the fall, and they gave me oxycodone.
Oh, Jesus.
And my wife took them. She took them from me and doled them out to me, and I got high, but I had so much pain, you know, that I felt, I talked to my sponsor, and I did everything as prescribed, but I definitely loved the feeling.
Oh, yeah.
What was I going to say? I feel exactly the same way as you do around psychedelics, 12-step, all this stuff. And I also feel I was very judgmental earlier on in my recovery. I want to get to your grimy shit. I had something else to say, but it doesn't matter. We can circle back to that shit.
Oh, man.
Because there is no fucking monopoly on what works for somebody. No. And who is anyone to say?
No. And I get tired of that. And I don't think by having those opinions and feeling the need to like shout those out, I don't think you're helping the people that you're shouting at, and I don't think you're helping yourself. And you're also missing an opportunity to demonstrate the growth that you've had as a result of working like a program and whatnot. And it sucks. And it makes me sad and also it makes me embarrassed that I was such a like turd for a little bit, you know.
Don't be embarrassed. I was hard. Like we started this show, me and my friend wound up dying while we made the show.
I looked it up.
And when we I had been on methadone for a long time, and he would talk about like the positive side of methadone or Suboxone or whatever. And I was like, if you're on that stuff, you're fucking getting high. Not meaning that stuff makes you high. I just knew every time I was on a medicated assisted treatment, I was getting high. So I just like you assumed everybody was high on weed. I just assumed anybody that was on anything like that was high. And it wasn't until after he died that I realized I needed to like rejigger it, because we don't want to alienate anybody.
No. You don't want to be that dude.
And love and tolerance is our code.
Amen.
And like that's the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So you're in the thunderstorm in a cornfield in fucking Ohio. It's your dad. You're tripping. How did that do you remember the end of the first trip? And were you like, I need to do it again? I need more coke?
I just well, I mean, I wound up doing more coke the next day. I had to wait. I had to hustle up some money. When I say hustle up, that means beg my mom, because I'm in Ohio and I'm 14. Yeah, man. I think I went back home. I was trying to be, me and my friend were trying to sell weed, but we were really bad at it because we just smoke it all. And a lot of acid. And in where we were at in Washington State, there was like liquid LSD in like Visine bottles, and you could buy 144 hits of acid, a gross of acid in a Visine bottle, and you could get that for like a couple $100. And then we could sell it for like 2 for $10, and we could clean up.
Do you sell it in drops?
We'd put them on like sweet tarts and stuff like that.
Did you ever put it in your eyes?
Yes.
How much did you put in? That's like the biggest question of my...
Do people not... Dude, you know what's funny? Oh my God. So we're selling acid upstairs, and there's a lot of military
not
folks
upstairs
around.
Here.
No. We're selling acid upstairs, and my friend and his mom is downstairs and letting people in and out. We're like 15 to 16.
So when you sell liquid acid, do you dose the candy in front of the person?
No. If they're at we'll just dose them while they're there. We'll dose them with the liquid. We'll just count the drops as we're dropping it.
And how much is a drop?
Tarts.
It's $5 a drop?
It's a hit. Yeah.
How much? 5, 10?
2 for 10. Yeah, 2 for 10, 5 for 20.
I have a lot of questions here.
Yeah.
Let's slow down for a second. So who's selling the Visine bottle? Is it some hippie family?
There's all kinds of, so this is Olympia, man. Olympia, Washington.
That's why I'm really excited for this stuff.
It's like weird counterculture crap.
Yeah,
so
I love
like
this stuff.
Olympia, Eugene, Oregon, San Francisco, Rainbow Family stuff, man. Like it's around. Like I wasn't, just to be clear, everybody knows I wasn't involved. I'm not Rainbow Family. I'm not aligned with any of that stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about, but we were able to buy acid very cheap. And we would go downtown Olympia, Sylvester Park, And there was all kinds of stuff going on down there. And that's the only thing. We never went, because we lived in Lacey, and we would never go downtown Olympia except to get psychedelics. We could get everything else we wanted in Lacey.
And you weren't a hippie teenager. You were on the fence.
We were weird, dude. I can't
hippie adjacent.
I can't quite explain it, because like we liked peace and love, but also like we'd get into fights a lot and stuff, and there was like violence was a thing, you know, and but yeah, it was around. And
set the scene of what it's like to be. How old are you buying these bottles of Visine?
15,
okay,
16.
So you're 16 years old, and tell us the whole tale of going to rainbow fucking country.
Well, this is the thing is we would get a lot of it would be fronted by who we thought was the coolest guy in the world.
He was.
Yeah.
He totally was. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
he's staking your his own LSD empire. It's a whole thing.
I'm not gonna say names here again, or even nicknames, because I don't want to indict anybody else. But we used to buy it, and he was this dude who was paralyzed, and he was like
fantastic.
He was a big Harley Davidson guy, and I wasn't around this night, but he had actually.
He's in a wheelchair?
He was at this point. When I met him, he was in a wheelchair, but my friends knew him before. And he sold my friends acid, and they went out and he loved Marlboro cigarettes, and they stole this giant Marlboro thing while they were high on the acid that he gave them. And they're bringing back this giant store thing of Marlboro, and he had wrecked his Harley and got paralyzed that night. So they were like high on acid, and they go to give it to him, and he's gone. But then he got
what is the
up.
big Marlboro thing?
It's like, and in stores when they used to advertise cigarettes, it's just like a giant cartoon pack of Marlboro cigarettes.
It makes me want to smoke just hearing about it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But then what happened, him and this other dude that were at that house wound up stealing a dentist tank of nitrous. And like, you could go over to his house and get balloons, but you can't like leave their house with the balloon. So you would have to hang out with them. And that was not fun after a while. And so like nobody, because they were shitty, dude. They sucked because his legs were paralyzed, but he would do this shit. He had those things to work out, and they would like shock his legs. And when he shocked his legs, he would like kick. And so like he'd wait for you to walk by and hit the thing, and then you'd get kicked with his dead leg. And but yeah, so nobody wanted to buy nitrous from him. And so him and this dude basically killed like a whole dentist tank of nitrous
themselves.
And then after that, there wasn't a lot of conversations going on.
He was done.
Yeah, he was cooked, dude. He was cooked. But I don't know what happened to him.
He was like a biker guy?
Yeah.
And he sold Visine bottles full of acid, which is how many doses?
144.
144 for how much money?
A couple $100.
Incredible deal.
Yeah.
Incredible value.
Yeah. And it's good acid, too.
Can you walk us through putting liquid acid in your eyeballs, please?
I mean, I wouldn't do it myself. I'd
you
have
never
my friends
did.
do it. No. Other people put acid in my eyes.
And
I've put acid in people's eyes.
What happens?
The same thing that when you put it on your tongue.
But you don't see anything different.
No.
Nothing happens.
No.
You just trip.
It's just something you can do if you have really good acid. It's not going to hurt you. I mean, don't do it or whatever.
We're not advocating putting a liquid acid in your eyes.
You can tell, man. I get nervous about this
stuff.
It's good.
It's good to be cautious.
I wanted to tell you, dude, the funniest thing is, so like we're selling acid upstairs, right? These grosses. And one of our big customers was these military guys, because they can pass UAs. It's out of your system in like 2 days. And I remember we're like 15, 16, and they would come over in uniform, be like, "Is Vince home?" And then they'd want to come upstairs past his mom. And that's how I wound up high on acid, have my mom pick me up when I was 16, staring at a crow, waiting for my mom in her Honda CRV, thinking about every decision I ever made.
I think, have you ever seen like those old movies where like the military guy like goes to the whorehouse in uniform to fuck the whore in Mississippi? Yeah. I want to see a movie where the military guy shows up at your friend's house
to get
liquid acid in the fucking uniform, and the kid is 16. It's like a great scene in a movie.
Yeah, we'd just be up there listening to Alice in Chains, like painting, or whatever, dude. Like,
that's the scene. If I asked what kind of person you were like, I listened to Alice in Chains on LSD.
See, that's
painting.
the thing is, we weren't like hippy dippy, but we did like a lot of Pink Floyd, a lot of Alice in Chains, and then grunge, man, was like a huge part of it. Even though we kind of missed that wave. Like I'm not that old, but like I think Kurt Cobain killed himself.
Missed it though.
Yeah. We just missed. Cobain killed himself when I was like 12. I remember I was in 6th grade when that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was in college.
Yeah.
I was in college when that happened. So then what happens?
You know, stuff escalates with my mom. By the time I'm 18, I'm starting to do time. Like, they sent me to rehab a couple times, and then they just stopped sending me to rehab. And
were you committing crazy crimes?
No, it was just I never got caught. Like I don't have any felonies at all. But here's the thing: every time I got caught, it would be like resisting arrest and a probation violation. I was always on probation. I was always not in compliance because I wasn't doing because I'm not going to comply and
non-compliant
because I wanted to get high. And it wound up being a thing where like my mom kicked me out and I was like couch surfing. And then, I lived in a barn. I basically just stupided myself out onto the streets. It just took a while. And I would go home maybe like once a month or something for like a few days and like kind of clean up and maybe even try sobriety and recovery stuff. Like I would go for it, but then I'd be like, I'm just going to smoke a little bit of weed and then it's done. Like,
right.
That's always it for me.
And you were a kid still.
Yeah. And it was, this isn't really a funny story. It's more like a crushing story.
These are the best.
Yeah. Good. I'm going to cry.
You can cry. That makes the show much better.
Okay. I got you. So I remember like my first night, like sleeping like outside, like on the pavement. And, it was like 2 a.m. I'm at these bars and I'm just trying to find somebody to take me home, like anybody. And I remember like walking around and I had this big hoodie and I'm getting cold and I'm just getting so tired. And eventually I laid in this doorway. There's a furniture store that's burnt down since called Griswold's. And I laid in the doorway at Griswold's and there was this guy and they called him the flower dude. He would hang out downtown and like sell flowers to people. And there was this rumor going around that he was taking the flowers from the cemeteries. But he wasn't. He was getting them from the dumpster behind Ralph's Thriftway. He was just getting the ones that the flower people threw away. And yeah, man, I woke up. It was probably 5 or 6 in the morning. And Flower Dude had gotten chalk and made a circle around me. And it said, "Keep Sam safe." And he didn't have to do that. And he was already on the streets. And he knew, it's like he knew what was happening. And he knew more than me that like the path that lay ahead was just, it was just this sad chaos, and I couldn't stop it. That's when I have this philosophy now, and the way I talk about it is that like, it was never about getting high. It was about not being sober. And like, I was running away and I wasn't running towards, I was running away. And I hated the way I felt when I was sober so much that there's nothing you could do to stop me from getting high. And, yeah. It was really bad.
How old were you when that happened?
19,
right.
20.
And that's like the doorway into your hardcore drug addiction, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the methamphetamine is like I had already done it a few times by then for sure. But it's just it was easy and it was cheap. And I like smoking it. And I was, especially if I was blacked out drunk, like that was the thing is like, I knew it was bad and I knew I should stay away from it. And I'm one of those folks, like I did it, but I could never handle it because you did it. I listened to some stuff and like, methamphetamine is fascinating to me because I know guys that have been doing meth almost daily for 20 years and like, they get into trouble. Like they're not living like a great life, but like, they maintain like dude has a job and stuff. It's crazy. Like he uses methamphetamine and like, it's not like a life that I would want, but it's the one that he has. But the first time I did meth, it's like 3 days and like losing my shit. Like I think I was 17 the first time I did it.
And you were still at home.
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, I was hanging out with a friend. And I remember the first time I did it because I thought and I knew it was meth.
You smoked it? You snorted it?
I snorted it that time.
Hurts to snort.
Yeah, it's wild, but I like that shit though, dude.
Burns.
Hell yeah, let's go. I'm alive, man. The craziest shit, dude, I snorted synthetic mescaline one time and I thought I burnt a hole in my brain. I don't even know if it was synthetic mescaline. I don't even know if synthetic mescaline is a fucking thing.
That's a classic thing a kid believes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We tell ourselves these weird stories that we have no idea what actually
Yeah. I remember there was this red shit that was around, and we were like, "It's opium."
Right, yeah.
I don't know what that shit was.
For years in college, like once in a while, someone would be like, "I got opium." It was always incense.
Was it this red shit?
No, it was always black, but it was never opium.
Oh man, we had this red shit that looked like Nerds candies, but it was like a little translucent.
I hope that was opium.
I don't know what it was.
I never got a hold of any opium.
Yeah,
in my day.
What is this 1700s? What are we talking about?
But like when you're talking about like somebody that can maintain something on meth, it's like there's people out there that can maintain on heroin, and there's people out there that can maintain on Adderall.
I think there's more people that can maintain doing like heroin and fentanyl, that like they have their people, they have their thing, and it's just like this maintenance thing. And like I said, man, it's dangerous and it's scary. But like there are folks that can just go a long time like that. And the same thing with alcohol, man. Like I know people that put down like a fifth every day, and like most of them are gone. Like, cause it does, like, there's this thing I think about sometimes about how we all have like this timer, right, on our back, and we can't see it, but it's ticking. You know what I mean? And you just don't know when it's your turn. And it's not, and it's, maybe you die, maybe you get locked up, maybe something else awful like happens, you know? So.
I don't know anybody. I personally don't know anybody that really gets away with it. Like I remember when I was young and I would do, I had a guy who was, he was an art professor in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. He was I called him the professor. He was a printmaker and he had a loft in Soho, and I had a drug dealer in my house, and he came to my house to buy heroin off the drug dealer. Yeah. And he had benzos, and I traded him. I traded him a bunch of cameras for a bunch of benzos, and I became very close with him and his wife, who they're probably in their 70s, and they did heroin every day.
Yeah, man.
But they were not maintaining. Yeah. Like they were fucked. Like they did not.
Were they getting sick and stuff all the time, or what?
No,
what do you mean? Fuck.
They just didn't have a nice life.
Oh yeah, dude.
They didn't have a nice life, but they weren't sick. Yeah. They were maintaining.
That's how I know that I have a problem. Is that I wasn't asking anything else. I was like, were they getting sick? Was it bad? Did they not have enough heroin?
Right. I was getting sick. Right. They weren't getting sick. I think that's the point of maintaining, I guess.
Yeah.
When you can support the habit.
Because I learned about, so I was messing with, the only shit with opiates that I messed with was the beans or whatever, the oxys or whatever, and I would do and then I'd drink. And it was like, oh, this is a great value because like I'm lit, and all I did was drink like 4 beers.
But that's like, it's like what I was going to say, instead of going down my senior citizen heroin addict path, is that brain chemistry is bizarre.
Yes.
And why a stimulant makes one person feel something and an opioid makes another person feel something similar or whatever. It's not attained. Like, I don't understand how it works like that.
So when my methamphetamine binges would start, and this is even towards the end, the first 6 hours were like euphoric.
Joy.
Just like, oh man, like this is it. I figured it out. And it was always this thing, like I'd get high and then I'd be like, you know what's awesome is that I never have to do this again. Cause like I get it now, you know? And then, and then you start coming down a little bit. And then, I don't know. I describe it like I have a jetpack, but nobody taught me how to use it. And it's fun, but then as you gain elevation, it just hurts more and more coming down. And then I did experience like psychosis, and I don't know if that's something that I have in me and methamphetamine can trigger it. Like, I don't know where that line is. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
I
do.
Like, is this all methamphetamine? Is this something that's just inherent in me? And like, is meth the key, or is it the gasoline? You know,
I think it's both.
Probably.
And I think we all have it.
Yeah.
I think we all have it. And when we get pushed to a certain place, we can go places that we wouldn't go to if we took care of ourselves.
And that psychosis is not, it's not like LSD and having like a hallucination. It's almost like an emotional kind of like connection to something that is real. And even now, as I sit here, I know that there's things that weren't real, and I cannot differentiate what was real and what wasn't when all that was going on.
Take us down the path and take us to, like I know you're thinking of something specific.
Well, I found this phone, right? I'm at Evergreen State College, and where I got a trespassing charge that somehow got lost in the shuffle. Thank God.
It's because they're all high out there.
Yeah, dude, I went there. I loved it. That was after I got sober. It's a good school. It's just weird.
I wish it's another place I wish I had gone.
You'd have loved it.
Yeah.
I found this phone, and it's crazy because it was Will's phone. It was this guy, Will. He was like a weed dealer out there. I find his phone. Back to like that weird rainbow family shit, is that I thought there was like this hippie mafia in Olympia. And in a way, there kind of is.
Everyone says there is.
Yeah.
It's like, that's like common knowledge.
No, there sort of is.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anything about it. But I wanted to be like muscle for them.
Sure.
Because I figured I would never have to do anything because they're hippies. So they'd be like,
I'm sure they utilize their muscle in nefarious ways.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I know guys in Northern California that are heavy. But I got it in my head that this phone was part of a test. But the thing is the only person calling the phone was Will, and he was screaming at me to bring his phone back. And I'd be like, what does this mean? And then hang up. And then they have the college, they had public computers, and I wasn't computer savvy at all. I missed all that. And they had that, Google, I'm feeling lucky.
No.
So like, it's this thing where it used to have Google search, but if you hit I'm feeling lucky, it would just take you to the first search result. And so
it's very trippy in itself.
Will would yell at me, and then I'd look at like a license plate and I'd get some numbers. And I really thought that I had to solve this. And then I'd be like, oh, I need to be on bus 48 and go downtown, And
classic fucking hallucination.
Yeah.
Compulsion.
Yeah.
What's the word? Psychosis.
Yeah, it's psychosis. Yeah. And, but to this day, I don't know. It just feels, it's not like my dad's a thunderstorm. It's like, oh my God, I was almost in the hippie mafia.
I look at it the same way I look at like sober people doing psychedelics, which is your dad might be a thunderstorm for somebody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's okay. But I want to know, like,
everybody's somebody's thunderstorm.
Exactly. I used to love getting high and watching thunderstorms.
Because I love thunderstorms, man. And honestly, dude, my dad was a maniac, but he was my maniac, and I miss him every single day. And like, but also if he was here in this room right now and I could talk to him one more time, I'd probably want to hug him, but I'd probably want to fight him because he did some really heinous shit too. And like, I'm not okay with it. I have a therapist, like I'm working on it, but like all that stuff, man, like when I say that, like I wasn't running towards something, I was running away from something, all that shit with my dad, man, my mom, like all of that, man, it's like this soup, and I'm just trying to climb up the ladle and get out of there, dude. Like anything but this feeling and these people in this place. And like, if I could just be cool, I'd be good,
And there is no recipe. Like we didn't have the recipe.
No, God, no.
But it doesn't matter. But it's like, sometimes I'm like, what was the recipe?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't matter now. Because like, I think we're trying to find the recipe now. What's psychosis on the streets of the Pacific Northwest like?
I mean, are you talking about my stuff? Mostly for me, it was like illusions of grandeur. Like I had this, like
I think it's delusions of grandeur.
Delusions, is it delusions of grandeur?
I think so.
I think I had illusions of grandeur.
Even better.
Like I remember they have like Olympic yacht sales, and like I'd go in there like tweaking, and I'd be like, I'm gonna be looking for a boat soon.
You'll see me back here soon.
Like I know you guys might not believe this, but things are about to break my way.
I just need to take the number 48 bus.
Yeah.
When I get back.
The way, this summer too, you're going to love this. This summer, The only thing I wore, this was the craziest summer, overalls, no underwear, no nothing, overalls and football cleats. My old football cleats from high school, Riddell offensive lineman football cleats. And I wore them so much that the cleats wore off and they were like regular shoes. And I was doing rap battles and occasionally winning them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, dude.
Was that one of your illusion of grandeur? That
but I did it.
Yeah.
Like that's all you got to do is talk shit and make it rhyme. You know?
And when does comedy come in, and why didn't you become a rapper?
Oh, man.
Or you did become a rapper.
That's after. I started doing comedy after I got sober.
What were your dreams when you were having delusions of grandeur?
Dude.
Just more meth?
Music, drugs, women. It would change so fast. Yeah, man. It's fantasy. It doesn't like, you know what's weird? I think more than having the fantasy for me, it was about writing the fantasy. Like it was like, it's not a static thing that I was trying to achieve. It's coming up with the next thing that I will eventually achieve. Because when I'm creating this fantasy, then I am further removed from the reality. And the reality is that I was young and homeless and terrified, you know, like living in a barn loft. That was the big thing. I was dating this girl named Stevie, who I absolutely loved. She did heroin. That's where I learned a lot about heroin from cellmates. Like I'd have guys that would be kicking dope in my cell, like farting and shitting and crying, like real tough guys too. And hearing them like whimper at night because they're so dope sick. And then watching Stevie, who was like a klepto, and I loved her to death, but she left me. And that never feels good when the klepto dope fiend leaves you.
How did you maintain using in that period?
Well, that's the thing with methamphetamine, especially. Yeah, and alcohol too. And like, a thing about me too is I'm super bingy. So like, I would, like I said, maybe if there'd be a month where I was probably high 18 days, you know? And then there'd be a couple days where I'd smoke weed, you know, like chill days or whatever before the wheels came off. And usually it was alcohol that was. Because that's the thing, like I'm kind of ducking this, but alcohol is...
Don't duck it, yeah. The steady.
The steady. Like alcohol is also the that's how it works, man. Like,
alcohol is also probably how you came down off the meth.
Oh God, yes. Oh man, psychedelics too, man.
Really?
Oh Jesus, man. Mushrooms and beer. You want to talk about something that like I crave? Like not so much anymore, but oh my God, like drinking on mushrooms, especially just beer. Oh, I love that. I love that. I was actually thinking about this before I came in, because I was listening to some of the stories on this show, and I know you'll appreciate this. I remember I was day drinking at the 4th Ave Tavern. At a certain point, too, by the way, I was homeless in Olympia. I went to Job Corps, and I got a job fighting fire. And I was a wildland firefighter for 4 years, and I was really, really good at it. But in the off seasons were crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was really bad. But I was flush with cash. I'm drinking downtown, really feeling myself, right? 4th Ave Tavern, 3 p.m. Tuesday, right? I went to Job Corps with the bartender, and so me and him are tight, right? Anyway, this is a true story. I put this on my mom. Shit's crazy, bro. I go into the bathroom, right? And I'm like half eyes closed, like drunk, trying to pee. And I start peeing, right? Uh-huh. And then all of a sudden this guy goes, "Hey, what the hell?" And he jumps and he turns around. So I am 6'6", and this dude couldn't have been much over 5 feet. I did not see him.
And you peed on him at the urinal?
He was peeing in the urinal, and I went behind him and I peed on his back while he was peeing. And then when he jumped and turned around, it scared me so bad. And I went, "Ah!" And I let go and I peed on his front. And then I get out of and dude, even now, like I feel bad about that.
Wow,
like,
that's not good.
Sucks.
No. Yes.
That sucks. But he was stomping up and down the bar, and he's like, "This is why I don't come to Olympia every single time it's some shit like this, or you're going to kick him out." And I was like, "Chris, dude, you should kick me out. That's crazy, bro." Like, I was like, "Dude,
did you kick yourself out?"
I'm so sorry. Yeah, but Chris didn't. Chris was like, "It was an accident, dude. You need to calm down."
It can happen to anybody. Where did the mushrooms come in that story?
Oh, I wasn't on mushrooms that time. Yeah,
I think it's interesting. Like when I did meth for a very short period of time between heroin runs.
Yeah.
And I probably did it just to go on another heroin run. I like went from meth to shooting meth and heroin together to like being like, I don't need the meth.
Goofball.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've heard a lot of people talking about like coming down off stimulants with alcohol, but never with psychedelics.
Oh, no. I wasn't saying I didn't come off of meth with mushrooms.
That would be a new thing.
I come off of mushrooms with alcohol.
Right.
And
you come off of meth with alcohol.
Yeah, definitely. That would rule. Not weed though, because that's like throwing a freaking hot dog down a hallway.
What do you mean? Because it's not strong enough to rescue.
Yeah, it just doesn't do anything. I've also run into that with
I love that, throwing a hot dog down a hallway. I never heard of that.
Yeah, it just doesn't do nothing. Yeah.
So what were you about to say?
Oh, I've never there's combinations of stuff that I ran into. And that was a big thing with me, man. You were talking benzos, like benzos and alcohol too. Oh, man.
A lot of benzos?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. So I had a friend of mine who worked at a rehab and he was stealing Librium. And that was like my favorite. In fact, on the Dopey Facebook post, and somebody was talking about, I can't remember what it was, and I don't know why I was just really into Librium back in the day. Probably because it was what I could get. And then it was funny because then I go to rehab for alcohol, and they gave me Librium.
I never heard about anyone that was into Librium either. That would be like the thing that I was bummed if I went to detox that they would give me.
You? No. I didn't mind Librium because if you can drink with it, I was good with Librium. Yeah.
That's funny.
Cool name too.
Yeah, Librium is a cool name. I agree. It sounds like lithium.
Sounds like a place to get books.
Sounds like a place to what?
To get books. Go to the Librium.
Go to the Librium. Yeah, that sounds bad. So, like, how bad does it get?
So, yeah, I like this because I'm getting...
By the way, you're doing really good. This is really fun. I think this is great.
Good. I'm enjoying myself too.
Good.
So, I got shit canned from the Forest Service in 2007.
What was the Forest Service like?
It was crazy and I loved it. I was a wildland firefighter, so I fought fires all over the West. So,
and you were high most of the time?
No, because we'd be out in the woods for 2 weeks at a time. And actually at Job Corps, I got my shit together too. So like
this is a little kind of sober.
Sort of.
Because you had a purpose.
But this is it though, man. Is it like... It meant the wheels came off even more when I wasn't. And when they talk about like addiction and alcoholism being a progressive disease, whether you're using it or not, like I know that to be true in my case. Like I didn't start where I left off. I started where I was if I had never let off, you know? Totally. And so I would get these weekend furloughs and when I was at Job Corps, and it was just like usually cocaine, booze, women, just issues, you know. I have jokes about it, you know, because I always dated, every girl I ever dated, like I love all these women that I was with, but they all had like something wrong with them. I got a joke about it because like I dated this girl with bad teeth, but I always said she had some good ones too, you know. I'm an optimist.
No, of course.
Weird limps and shit, you know. But yeah, it escalated, kept escalating.
I want to hear about the fire. You're fighting fires. Or is it like a drinking thing? Like,
yeah, we all drank, man. Yeah, it was a lot of drinking. And then I was also, my methamphetamine use was very sporadic during the fire season. And then I would do all kinds of weird shit in the off season. Like I wound up in upstate New York and like Hudson one time, even came into the city. This is the third time I've been in New York City.
Nice.
And the first time I barely remember it. But yeah, it was terrible and would make mistakes that would almost cost me my job. So get drunk, try to sleep with one of the engine bosses from another district, just classic stuff like that. I would be like, I'd show up to work and I'd be like, oh man, because I'd stay up till 3 or 4 drinking, and then I'd have to be at work at 7, and it's like a Friday. I'd be like, oh man, I'm gonna be hungover at work. Like that's not hungover. Like I am drunk at work, running a chainsaw, a federal job, in the woods, like running a chainsaw. And it's like,
what's it like fighting these major fires in the woods with this crew? Like, describe it for us.
So I was on a 10-man, so we would go out as a 10-man initial attack crew sometimes. So what that means is it's mostly dry lightning. And so
wow,
we would put out you put out fires, literally put out fires, especially when I was with the DNR. So I started with the Department of Natural Resources. I was on Highlands 122, which is like it's like an engine crew. There's 3 of us. I was really, really good at it. I was in very good shape.
Were you the chainsaw guy?
I did run saw a lot, especially in the Forest Service. I was running saw a lot. So we'd also go out as a 20-man crew. And on that 20-man crew, we'd have 3 dudes on saws, and I would usually be one of those people. And another thing that I was really good at was I would move fuel around. I am 6'6" and 360 pounds, and I can hike like nobody's business hills, and I can hold a lot of weight. And essentially, like, I liked it because everybody. Do you play sports at all?
Not well.
Okay, so you know how when you're on a basketball team though, and there's like, oh, that's our center, he's big. Oh, that's our point guard. He's got handles, right?
Yes, sure.
So the thing that I was really great at is I could hold large amounts of weight, and the fuel. We need water for people to drink, and we need fuel for saws and water pumps. And I loved being by myself, and I loved hiking. And so I'd be like, hey, I'll go grab a bunch of gas. And people loved it. And
well, it's also like that whole thing. Like, it's like the same kid that finds the can to smoke weed out of.
Yeah, dude.
You're fucking useful.
Yeah, I was part of the team, you know? And then, yeah, man, I didn't so much get fired as they told me not to come back. I thought about this story because that's the thing is you basically get laid off and you have an off season. They usually keep you on 6 months and a day so you can get unemployment. There was a thing that happened. So we were on a fire by Lake Chelan one time, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Okay. We were up on Domkey Mountain and we got spiked out. So this is a fire camp, right? So there's like 10 fire crews. It's a huge fire. There's like 5 or 6 divisions. Each one of them has their own fire camp. There's probably 500 firefighters assigned to this fire. We got spiked out. Usually every night you hike back to the fire camp. But this night we made really good progress, and we were up at the top of Domkey Mountain, and we were in the black. Okay. So we were in an area that was safe because it had burnt like a couple days earlier. So they spiked us out. So a helicopter brings us.
Wait, what does spiking you out mean?
That means we don't go back to the fire camp that night. We camp on the line. So a helicopter brings us our red bags, which have our tents and some clothes and shit like that. And then the helicopter brought us a couple 5-gallon buckets full of pork chops and mashed potatoes. And dude, it's sick. You're out by yourself. You're fighting a fire. You feel like pretty heroic. You feel good about yourself. You know, we were trying to save a Lutheran day camp called Holden Village from burning, you know.
It's like a movie.
Yeah. It's like a movie. And check this out, right? So on Domkey Mountain, Domkey Lake is below us. And then there was a ridge. And that day, that ridge had burnt, right? You're talking a couple thousand acres had gone up. Just whoom, huge fire. The only thing that was still burning was stump holes, okay? And what happens is these stump holes burn and they spit out flames. And every once in a while, they'll get more oxygen and a bigger flame will shoot out. And so we're looking at this hillside. It's burning. And usually you don't see the fire at night. You don't want to engage a fire at night because you can't see you have really bad situational awareness. But we're looking at this fire. We're sitting, eating a pork chop. There's the lake and the hillside that had burnt, and above it, the stars are so bright. We're out in the middle of nowhere in Washington, and the stars and the stumps made like new constellations, and it was all reflected in this lake, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And this dude I fought fire with, this guy named Casey Vance, who I think he's still fighting fire, actually. I remember I'm sitting there, and we're sharing this moment together, and I looked over and I'm like, Casey, I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And without missing the beat, and he didn't pull no punches. He was like, Sam, this is probably the most beautiful thing you ever will see, because he's like, you're gonna die like really soon.
Is that because it was very dangerous, or was it because you were just like a mess?
I was a mess. And this is the other thing too. My mom, she loved that I was fighting fire, and like
you had purpose.
I was spitting game. I was like, oh yeah, like like I'm doing so good. Like, oh, I'm a upper management potential, you know. And she got me. She's Catholic, right? And she got me one of these St. Anthony medals to protect me from the fire. And I was like, Mom, I am not going to die on the fire line, you know? And, but anyway, yeah, I got shit canned.
See, I think like you getting shit canned from that, you must have been such a fuck up because you're this incredible, useful member of the team. I was really good at
fighting fire, yeah.
So how did you get fired?
My boss told me, he goes, if you show up drunk to work one more time, you're done. I show up to work drunk, and he's like, no, really, this is it, Sam.
It's too dangerous.
Yeah. He gave me an extra chance though. That's the thing that cracked me up. He's like, if you show up work to drunk one more time, I showed up drunk. He goes, seriously, Sam, next time. And then I showed up drunk, and he was like, dude, go home and you can finish out the season. They sent me to Chelan. They sent me on an assignment to Chelan because they knew if I was in a fire camp, I couldn't get drunk. And yeah, they sent me actually to Holden Village for a rehab assignment with the other fuck up on the crew. My friend Keith, who passed away, he overdosed, I think, like 10 years ago or something like that. And
so they send you to treatment?
No, they just sent me on an assignment where I couldn't get drunk. So I was at Holden Village, that Lutheran day camp, doing a rehab assignment. So like
that was the rehab to
be
there.
I forgot that this is a recovery podcast.
It sounds like Holden Village is a rehab.
No. It was a rehab, as in we're trying to make it look like there wasn't a wildfire. Like we are rehabbing the forest.
Okay.
I am not in rehab. Yeah. It's not a rehab assignment for me. It's a rehab assignment for the forest.
So what's rehabbing the forest? You're planning stuff?
No, you make it. So some of the places where that fire burnt were like in a wilderness area, and we weren't supposed to use chainsaws in that area, but it's an emergency. So they let us do it. But then we try to make it look like we weren't using chainsaws in there. So like,
why shouldn't you use chainsaws?
Because it's a wilderness area, and you're not supposed to use anything with a motor.
Touch anything.
Nothing with a motor. That's the rules. Like you can have horses, and yeah, wilderness areas are dope though, man, because it's like untouched. Like that's the whole idea. Is it's like this is a place you can go and imagine what it was like before.
That's cool.
Yeah, before we ruined it. Yeah, it's dope. But yeah, and then that kicked off like the last year. So that must have been October of 2007. And then yeah, man, I wound up living at a puppy mill and doing meth every day. And
a mill that they crank out puppies?
Yeah, Yorkshire Terriers.
What's a puppy mill like?
It sucks, dude.
Is it just dogs wall-to-wall fucking and like birthing puppies? What is
it? Dude, it's the funniest. I feel like someone's going to get mad at me because I'm about to out their hustle right now. But honestly, you shouldn't be doing this shit.
Listen, if you're running a puppy mill and you're listening to the show, please send in an email to DopeyPodcast@gmail.com. I want to hear about it.
Okay. So here's the thing. So you know when you're on Craigslist and they say, small home for Yorkshire Terriers, da-da-da-da. So they had like 7 or 8 of these feeder homes or whatever, but those were not the puppies from those dogs. They would just move puppies to that house and pretend like those were the dogs.
What's a puppy mill like?
There was a lot of Yorkshire Terriers. There was probably like 5 or 6 breeding pairs at a time, and usually like 2 or 3 active litters.
What do you do there?
I was living in a trailer and wanting to die every day. I was living with this dude. His nickname was Dumpster Snake, and it's
a good nickname.
Yeah, it is. He lived up to it. I loved him though. His name was Justin, and he was a really close friend of mine. And I don't know where he is, and I don't know how he's doing.
Justin, if you're listening, please send in an email to DopeyPodcast@gmail.com. Sam misses you.
Yeah. So
you're still snorting the meth?
No, I was smoking it. Yeah, I was smoking meth, and also doing a lot of coke again because it was around, and the coke's better on the east side.
And drinking a ton.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, the drinking and weed, like everything. I mean, it was bad, man. It was really bad. And the thing, and I was thinking about this when I was walking here today about talking about this and how to talk about this, but that I wanted to die all the time. Like, it wasn't like I didn't have suicidal thoughts. It's like I lived in a suicidal world, and like suicide wasn't so much a thing that I might choose to do. It was like a thing that I was going to happen, and I just had to figure out how, it was just, and
can you talk about that more? Like
the only thing that stopped me from killing myself was I didn't want to do that to my mom. And I used to fantasize about getting a call that my mom had a heart attack and was dead. And then I would fantasize about like, when people say, if I see you, I'm going to shoot you on sight, like on sight. Like that's how it was. Like if I found out something happened to my mom, there's no hesitation.
You would have been done.
Would have been done immediately. And it was so pervasive, this feeling of like hopelessness, like squared basically. Like it's not just that like I don't have hope. It's like hope is something that I never will have again. Like this is it, man. This is it. Like this is it. I did it. I ruined it. Like
it being your life.
Yeah. I had always hated who I was, and now I knew that I would never be anybody else.
This was it.
This was it. Like I had done it. And the other thing, man, you'll love this. I had this fantasy of like dying a hero. And like, I always wish like, oh man, I would think about it nonstop. A lot of times I'm tweaking, right? So I got a lot of thoughts. And finding like a car on fire with like a family in it.
Saving them and then jumping in the car so you could blow up.
Yeah. How'd you know, man?
I don't know.
That was the move, dude.
Yeah.
The other thing too, man, is I did go home a couple times, and I've never talked about this publicly, and I really don't give a shit because I'm not ashamed of it. But it was a feeling that I had, is that me and my mom, we drove out to the coast one time, and I thought about taking the car off a cliff with me and my mom in it, and then I was like, that'll be like, I felt really bad.
It would solve all your problems.
Yeah. And I was like, we'll both just be dead. And like, there'll be that. I remember thinking about those like 2 or 3 seconds of terror that me and my mom would have. But I always thought that in the end, like maybe she kind of wanted that too. And I would like kind of justify it in my head that like, and I remember, I was a big wrestling fan, and Chris Benoit did that shit with his family, and like, fuck him for doing that. But also like, I understand where those feelings come from, and I'm not proud of that. There's things, man, the last like 6 months or something, man, that dude, Justin, who I was really close with, I stole his car one night while I was blacked out drunk, and I couldn't remember what I did with it. And like him and some other dudes, and like I wound up tied to a chair and like tortured and stuff like that. Like that was.
Wait, what happened?
I stole his car and I lost it, and he thought I stole it, and like was tied to a chair. I was like blacked out pretty much, but I remember
Who tied
parts
to the
of
chair?
it.
He did?
Justin, a bunch of his other folks.
Because they thought you stole his car and sold it.
I did steal his car.
But they thought you sold it and you just...
Some other shit, yeah,
right,
or something, or crashed it.
So what happened then?
They put a gun in my mouth and tied me to a chair, and yeah, to this day, if I'm drinking coffee and the mug hits my teeth, it makes me want to throw up.
So how did you get out of that situation?
I remembered where the car was.
Thank God. Oh my God. And the funniest thing about this story to me is that you're like, oh yeah, I love Justin.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
except for the time he had the pistol in my mouth.
Bro, there was another time, dude. I feel like I'm ADHD and all over your podcast.
No, this is how the podcast goes.
Yeah. Dude, when I was like, I think I was like 20, I was at this party at this place called the Stabbin' Cabin. It's in and anyway, I get drunk, pass out, because there's a lot of beer there. And I don't know to this day whether I did it on purpose or it was an accident, but like I walked out, there's these 2 loft bedrooms, and I walked out onto this catwalk and just started pissing off this catwalk. And there was like a full-on party under me. And there's like these railings on the catwalk, and my pee is hitting the railings and just sprinkling, and people are doing like coke and shit. And I just peed on like so many people. And then they tried to kick me out, but I refused to leave. I don't remember any of this. I was blacked out. But the next thing I remember is I'm getting walked down this driveway by this dude named Ian. And I looked back, and I shit you not, it's straight up. You ever see like a Desert Eagle, like the crazy guns, like a huge, like, dude, like the biggest gun I'd ever seen. And he's got a point at me. He's like this coke dealer dude. And I remember I looked back at him, and he was like, Sam, I'm not going to fight you. You are too big. And he goes, and if you try anything, he's like, I don't want to kill you, but he's like, I will kill you. And I remember I'm walking and I'm like looking on the side of the road and I'm seeing like these limbs. I'm like, maybe I could get him. And then I was like, then I'll have the gun. I was like, I wanted the gun really bad. And it was funny because I didn't want to shoot him. I just really wanted that gun.
Right. The best thing to me is this is 2 stories where you peed on people in bars.
yeah. No, this is a bar. This is a party.
Either way.
Still, but this is the shit that's crazy is that I get all these phone calls the next day, dude, like, dude, Sam, that was so messed up. Like, we don't think Ian should have done that with the gun, but also, dude, like, I mean, dude, you peed on everybody, dude. Like, you peed on the coke, you peed on everybody. And Ian was like part of our friend group and like a pretty heavy dude. And we talked that day and me and Ian were good. And Ian overdosed like a week after that. And I'm just glad I got to hash shit out with him.
Did you apologize to him?
I did. And here's the thing: when you feel like you're a piece of shit and you act like you're a piece of shit and shitty things happen to you by people, for me, it was always easy to like forgive and be like, yeah, dude, like I fucked that up because I really do love people. Like I care about people. It's just that when you're on the run from those feelings, like I didn't want to hurt anybody, man. Like I didn't.
Well, it's a miracle that it's a small miracle, but it's a miracle that you hashed things out with him before he was dead. Yeah, these are dude, like things that are important. I've had a bunch
of those experiences where like a couple weeks before my friends pass away, like I was able to hash stuff out with them, which is dope, dude. That's happened like 4 or 5 times before friends of mine have died. Yeah.
Take us through. I mean, I had a nice experience with my mother before she died, and I had a really nice experience with Chris the night before he died, where we hashed out all this stuff, and then he was dead in the morning. Yeah. The guy who I started the show with. Yeah. But so I can relate to that stuff a lot. And it's a miracle when that happens, and when it doesn't happen, you know, it's scary to live with this kind of guilt, or you wish something else had happened. There's a woman in our community, and her son died this week. And she called me yesterday, and she told me she felt okay. You know, he's 32. He had been on fentanyl for years and years and years. She had paid for his cremation 10 years ago or something, expecting it. And he died. And a lot of parents that I've spoken to have lost their children to these overdoses. The parents feel this relief because this pain isn't hanging over their heads, and then they feel so much guilt about feeling relief. And I feel like any good feeling that you can have in such a tragic place is you're entitled to it.
I feel like sometimes we put this pressure on ourselves to only have one feeling, and it's like, I am angry, I am sad,
I should be
I am happy. It's like, no, man, I'm fucking all that shit. I'm all that shit so much of the time, man. And like there is like, dude, there's a big one where it's just like, I don't know if you saw, but like you said something that hit me because like, man, like I think about my friend Justin, man. Like I can't, it was so bad, man. And then luckily we did get to hash stuff out. But like, I'm not like
dumpster snake.
No, different Justin. I'm not like a religious dude or whatever. I really am. I'm really not. And sometimes I'm not even spiritual. Like I'm agnostic, and I mean that through and through. Yeah, it's like we had an experience where I feel like if there are demons, and if there was demons, I don't think there are, but if there is, and I talked to one night and scared the shit out of me, dude. Yeah, my friend pretended to kill himself while he was on the phone with me, and
what exactly happened? Because I see like you had this total...
we were in recovery together, and I still love him so much, and we helped each other stay sober during COVID. COVID crushed me, dude, because I was doing comedy and like I was about ready to go full time, and I wound up working at a homeless shelter in Tacoma during COVID, and like that was really hard, dude. We got left out there, like it sucked working at a shelter. I got jokes about it.
What just hit you though? Like we're talking and then something very specific hit
Justin, man. It's just Justin, man. Like I wish he was here. That's all it is, man. It's just grief. It's like a pure kind of grief. I think about 1.5 years ago. He overdosed. Yeah. But he called me on Christmas Day and was really angry with me. But I don't think it was me that he was angry with. I think it was just like I said, it was like talking to a demon. And at one point while we were on the phone call, he pretended to kill himself while I was on the phone, like put a bullet in the ceiling.
Wow.
And it was probably since I got sober, I can't really think of anything else that was harder than that.
What? So you're on the phone with him. He's like, I'm going to do it. He shoots his gun into the ceiling. You're sure he's dead. And then what happens?
Well, this is the thing, right? Is that Justin was like, when I say, you know what I mean? When I say heavy, like he was like could be a dangerous guy.
Yeah.
And was armed, heavily armed. And the first thing he said when he called me was, he goes, if you call the cops or anybody, he's like, I'll kill him. I'll kill him. And I have no doubt that he was telling the truth. But he was so angry, and not just me, but like recovery as a whole. And then, yeah, man, it escalated. It was probably 1:00 in the morning. My wife was awake and watching me talk to him, and she was getting really concerned. And I wasn't going to get off the phone with him until I wasn't going to hang up. Yeah, and it escalated to a point where he was like, I'm doing it. And then I heard the gunshot, and then I told him, I was like, Justin, I don't know if you're dead or alive, but if you don't come to the phone in 10 seconds, I'm calling the law, you know? And I started counting down, and then he came back to the phone. We probably talked for about another 45 minutes, and then the phone ran out of batteries. And then, I don't know, I just kept calling him for like days. I was on the road doing comedy.
Did he die that night?
No. I wound up talking to him 3 days after, and he didn't remember doing it.
Right.
And I got to tell him that I loved him. And he told me we got to have a good conversation, and we both cried. I think we were both kind of grieving. And then I was sitting in my home group 2 weeks after that, and I got a text that he overdosed. And that was Justin, man. And like, it's just, man. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay, man. You know what the score is.
I do. And it's like, I sometimes.
Yeah. But I appreciate you saying that. But you know what I mean, man?
I do know what the score is. And when Chris had died, my best friend had died 6 weeks before him of an overdose. And when he died, I was just weeping, sobbing in my yard. And I had a newborn, and I had a 7.5-year-old, and I was supposed to take the 7.5-year-old swimming.
Yeah.
And the pool was closed, and then I took her to get pizza, and she started just like asking for shit like kids do. And I think I said, please stop asking me for stuff. My best friend just died. And I start crying, and like, I'm fucking whatever. 7. She's 7. Like, I don't even know how I could be saying that, but you know, you're overcome.
I totally get it.
You're overcome. Yeah, like, totally you don't know what to do. And then my point was though, that, you know, when he died, I cried my eyes out for days. And then when Chris died, I cried my eyes out for days. And then after that, we've lost so many people in our community, like, who are very close to the show. And I was friends with them, but I lacked the ability to feel as much. Like, I feel like doing this show and being in this kind of eye of the hurricane of drug use and overdose and death, it calloused me in a way that I'm uncomfortable with it. It's like this woman, whose son just died this week. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to be helpful to her.
Yeah.
But I think a piece of me is dead with the whole thing.
I would push back on that just a little bit, because I don't know if that's a callous as much as it is like, you know, that Price is Right game where they drop the balls and it falls into the categories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of random.
Yeah.
That's how it feels like to me when I kind of lose people right now.
And you don't know how you're going to feel. Yeah. That's random too.
Yeah. My friend long-haired Dave, that one really hit me. He passed away but that was complicated and wonderful and beautiful, but also hard. And he was a beautiful, wonderful man who helped me get sober. And that one was weird. And then, God, my friend Casey got stabbed at the bar we used to drink at. That one tore me up. My first cellmate, Mike Seed, another great dude, taught me how to play dominoes, which is hard because I'm dumb. So it took him a while.
Tell us how the puppy mill got you sober.
Oh, man. Well, this is what happened. I don't know why I'm not telling this story, because this one isn't as bad as some of the other ones. So there was this other guy there, Justin, and Justin lived in one of the other trailers. I was living in a trailer. There was no heat and no power. You'll love this. I had a Nintendo DS, like a little handheld game thing, and I would go to the library and charge it.
The Librium?
Yeah, go to the Librium and charge my Game Boy. And then I would get library books, and then I would use the light from my Game Boy to read, because that's what you do. And I've always read. I love basketball, so I was always reading. Like, it was like, I remember being in my trailer with no power, no water, and drunk, and reading Yao Ming's biography. Wow. And being like, China sounds weird. Wow, he's so tall.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, there was this couple that lived in the house, and I was really close with them too. Wonderful people, running a puppy mill, but outside of that, wonderful people. Also at this time, and I feel bad for anybody listening to this who's an animal lover, you might just want to skip ahead a couple minutes. But there was a MRSA infection at the puppy mill place, and like half the dogs died. And so I'd be tweaking, and I'd be out by the river, and I'd find like these dead puppies and shit everywhere. And it's just like just this absolute hell. And then one night I got drunk, and I tried to sleep with the dude's wife in the house. And I wound up on the porch with like a deer rifle in my face, and was essentially told that if I ever come back into town, like, he's holding this rifle in my face, and he goes, and he started crying. And I was like, I remember thinking, I'm like, it's not good that he's crying. What are you so sad about, dude? The murder that you're going to do.
What do you think he was so sad about?
Because he knew that was the end of us. Like, it was like,
you were friends with him.
Yeah, dude. I love that dude. He was awesome. We
right.
we had our issues or whatever. Oh yeah, dude. And I knew that I deserved it. And honestly, like, maybe I didn't deserve to be shot for like trying to sleep with his wife. No,
everybody holds a gun to you because they're scared to fight you. It seems like that's half the story.
I think this was different though, because this one was different. And honestly, at that point, I didn't want it, but I was ready. I was ready.
That could be the end. That would be a fitting end.
Yeah.
You deserved it in your head.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. He told me if I ever come back into town that he's just going to kill me. And I haven't been back to that town since. Even when I was doing Amends or whatever, and that he was on my list. And that's one of my favorite things in recovery ever, because I was willing. My sponsor was like, you could just leave that one alone. Do like a living Amends. I was like, all right, cool, dude. Because he made it really clear that if I went into town that he would just kill me. And he was an unhinged individual. I went back to Olympia. This was late May 2008. I would tell my mom that I was going to go to a meeting or whatever, and I wouldn't. I'd go get drunk, high, and then wound up homeless again. Like, I knew I couldn't go home. My mom told me I couldn't be at her house if I was using. So I'm right back where I was before the Forest Service, homeless in Olympia. Except now, like, nobody wants anything to do with me. They've seen me with money. They've seen me without money. And like, I was too unpredictable. I was a total liability. And June 10th, 2008, I have jokes about it. It's on my first album. I woke up under a tarp in front of the Capitol Theater, and there was another homeless lady under the tarp with me, and we were doing tarp stuff, is what I say. The thing. It's funny. So I have a joke about it, right?
Is that the Tarp Report? What's the name of the show?
Yeah, it's all tarp stuff. I think tarps are hilarious. But the thing was funny is, so I have a joke about me getting sober, and I say, I used to say that I was under a tarp finger banging a homeless lady. And I go, which sounds really bad, but in my defense, I was homeless too. This was a lateral move for me.
It sounds very romantic to me somehow.
Thank you. Finally, I feel really seen right now.
I'm with you.
But you know what's funny is I was doing a corporate show one time and I started that joke and I forgot that it ends with me finger banging a homeless lady under a tarp.
Wait, where does the joke start? I feel like the joke starts with your finger banging the homeless lady.
No, I can only do it one way.
Right.
It starts back at with me drinking. Anyway.
Right.
But because I was doing a clean show where I usually be like, I was like, I was under a tarp with a homeless lady and we were doing a tarp stuff.
I'm sure that worked.
And now, what's funny is now whenever I do the joke, I'll say tarp stuff, but I don't really do that joke anymore. Anyway, here's the good part. All of a sudden I wake up, there's a lady walking her dog and, she looked at me and I looked back at her and this lady just gave me this look of disdain. And, I was like, I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to do something. And, I just started bawling, man. And then I walked, I think it must be 7 or 8 miles out to my mom's. And, just cried the whole way, just terrified. Because I couldn't kill myself because I didn't want to hurt my mom, and I knew I needed to get help, and I did the withdrawal thing because I was doing benzos at the time too, which was weird because I still had it wasn't Librium though, it was something else, and drinking, and had a seizure. That sucked. I had a seizure with a bunch of sunflower seeds in my mouth, not my blowing sunflower seeds out of your nose on your mom's couch
in the seizure,
watching Emerald Lagasse.
Amazing.
Classy stuff.
Yeah, I had lots of seizures.
Okay, so you know this story.
Lots of seizures.
That's my one and only seizure I've ever had, and not an experience. I feel bad for folks that deal with that a lot.
I was on so much benzos for so long, and every time I didn't have them, I would have seizures. In crazy, horrible situations.
Yeah.
Never with sunflower seeds coming out of my nose, though.
4 days later, I sought out the recovery program that I've been a part of, and I did one of those every single day for 3 years, I think.
You went to a meeting a day for 3 years.
At least.
And you didn't go to treatment first?
No. So check this out. It's actually more than that. I probably averaged 2 meetings a day for 2 years.
Who hipped you to going to the meetings?
I knew they were around forever because when I was in rehab and they'd make me go. And then also even before I used to go because it always had them good ass, long ass cigarette butts when I was sniping
right
in front of the meetings. I would always be bumming cigarettes.
Yeah.
And also I liked the attention that I would get. Sometimes I'd go to meetings just for attention. And I made a run at recovery before, but I was like, I'll just do it different. I'll be barefoot and I'll smoke weed. And that's how I'll get sober. That sounds like a very
comfortable way to get sober.
Yeah.
But it's like you say attention and everybody else says connection. Is it any different?
Oh, God, that's a good question, man. I don't know.
I think it's the same. I think you just wanted people to see you.
Yeah.
And you wanted people to know you. You wanted to know people. And I think we say attention to because we shit on ourselves, but everybody says connection. You say you needed attention, but you probably needed both.
Yeah. And I got it.
You know what I mean, though.
No, I don't. I'm not embarrassed about it at all. It scratched an itch, and it scratched it in a different way than what I was used to. And, when I was talking about that feeling of hopelessness, I got a little bit of hope, and that's all it took. Once I got that little bit of hope and I realized, and then I started doing service stuff. And I got involved, and then I felt like I was part of something. I was like, oh man, yeah, I'm still a piece of shit and I want to die all the time, but now I'm a piece of shit that wants to die all the time. That's part of something, and then I could see, I'd be sitting in the meetings and somebody would share and I'd just be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And the next person would share, I'd be like, I take it back. That's even worse. I was so angry. And
I'm still like that.
yeah, dude. Yeah.
I'm a disaster with that.
Yeah.
I'm so bad with it. I have a sponsee who's fucking like 95 days out, and he's like, you really shouldn't talk so much shit about people.
Yeah, I know.
He's reading the 4 agreements.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly.
God, who gave him that?
I think I did.
Oh, no.
He's a 4 agreementsing me after I gave it to him.
Give him that new pair of glasses shit or
right.
something. No, God, man. And it just worked. It just like clicked. And like, I did all the dumb stuff. I did some of the smart stuff. I've always said that my sponsor, the way it works is that my sponsor tells me not to do something and then I do it. And then I learn that he was right.
Right.
And that's how I grow. And, still very angry. Had a lot of issues with the God part. But my thing, you'll love this. Steps 2 and 3, I was like, whatever, not for me. Like, I can't do this shit. Like, I can't do this. But I decided that I needed to hit 4 and 5 and 8 and 9 out of the park. Because I'm like, okay, I dicked the dog on 2 and 3. It's like, I got to make up for it. And man, I was honest and thorough. And the first amends I made was to my mom. And she made amends to me too. And we're doing really good. And we're okay. And I don't want to kill her anymore.
It's fantastic. You're not looking for cliffs and cars anymore?
Yeah. I think I broke your chair when I leaned back.
You wouldn't be the first person to break a chair here. So
yeah, am I the first person talking about killing their mom?
I think maybe.
Yeah.
First 6 to 8 year old huffer and first murdering your mother. But you wanted to die too. Because you didn't really want her to die. No. You just didn't want her to have to live with you dead.
If anything, I was being less selfish.
Exactly. You were like a saint trying to kill your mother. It was the generous thing to do.
I hope your dad likes this episode.
Yeah, he'll like it.
But yeah, dude, it just went, dude. It just went. Like, it was just like, I always knew that there was something else to do after the thing that I was doing. And
what do you mean by that?
Like, there was always a thing to do after the thing.
What the fuck does that mean?
That I had shit to do, man. Like, I wasn't like...
It wasn't... You always knew there was something next.
Yes. And so, like, it's like, okay, go to a meeting, make an amends, get a job.
So how did you get into comedy?
Okay, so I got a wife.
How'd you get a wife? Was she even programmed?
Well, see, you should ask that first.
I didn't know. I didn't know what happened first.
No, she's not. She's a normie, and she's wonderful. And I was 4 months sober when I met her. I was bouncing at a bar. So I had 3 jobs, right? 4 months sober, 3 jobs. I'm washing dishes, bouncing at a bar, and working at a warehouse. And I actually had the night off, and I go to the bar, after my meeting, because that's what you do.
Sure.
And yeah, man, we just hit it off. And I have jokes about it because I say, she doesn't believe this, but I always say she let me move in after 2 weeks because she had bad boundaries. And I was like, I was homeless. So it was a sweet deal for me. Cause that's the thing is I was like living on a porch couch and shit like that. Like just still like when like a plane's crashing and like the engines go off and then they get the engines back on, but that's got to pull up. It's like, and then you hit a couple chimneys and you're in the corn. You're like, oh no.
That was your chimney hitting period.
Yeah. I was hitting chimneys. I got arrested in recovery. It was crazy.
For what?
Oh, I was bouncing and a dude tried to punch me and I choked him. And, but whatever. I didn't get in any trouble for it. They just arrested me.
So your wife moves you in and you're like, fuck it, I'm staying.
It wasn't like that. It took us a while, but I was always over at her house. Like we fell pretty hard for each other. And it was weird because like, it's like I'm with this person and I'm also with this new person, me. Because it's not like a thing like I didn't get my life back. Like I never had a life. I never really did that, I tried to get back on with the Forest Service and I was calling my bosses and telling them that I'm sober and they're just like, no, dude. Like, and that hurt. That sucked. Had a kid. How
long were you sober when you had your first kid?
Let me see. I've been sober almost 17 years. My kid's 14. He'll be 15 in December. So I was 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Yeah. Way too early to be in a relationship, way too early to have a kid. But like I said, man, my sponsor told me not to do it and I just do it. And then make sure he was right.
I had my first kid when I was using.
Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah.
It was not good.
Yeah. That's hard.
It's good now, but it wasn't good then.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. A guy threatened to stab me one night while I was bouncing, and he tried to come in through the front door of the bar. I told him to stop. He didn't. He had his hand in his pocket. I really did think he had a knife. I shoved him really hard, and he hit his head, and I thought I killed him, and it scared the shit out of me. He was in a coma. I really fucked him up bad. Big guy. I don't like to hurt people. I'm not like a tough guy. I really am not on that tough guy shit. I'm over that shit. But so I went back to school to be a chemical dependency counselor. Wound up working at a methadone clinic eventually. Got fired from the methadone clinic because I couldn't fucking keep up with my paperwork.
I'm sure it's a lot of paperwork.
Went back to college, and around that time, and I had another kid. This one was that's my on purpose kid. I got 2 kids. One of them was on purpose. And one night I basically got called on a lot at meetings, and they would ask me to speak at like these things, these bigger events, because I was funny. And people in old timers would be like, dude, you should do comedy. You should do comedy. I'd be like, I'm a dishwasher. I got a good thing going. And then one night I was walking down 4th Avenue in Olympia, Washington, past this place called the 1230 Room. And there was a comedy show in there. And I went and I did it. Now here's the scary part. This is the scariest part of the whole story. Of all the stories I've told, this is the scariest one, I swear. The first time I did stand-up comedy, I had the same feeling I had like the first time I got high. And I was like, oh.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
This is it. Yeah. And then immediately the next thought I had was like, I'm going to get a divorce over this. There's no way I can
do both.
Like, because I'm like, this is going to take over. And I lost some friendships, but I didn't lose my marriage. And I worked really hard. I've done shows pretty much all over the country now. It's been my full-time job for 4 years.
No, and you're killing it. It's interesting though what you just said, like that you got scared that you could have a divorce over it because you fell in love with it.
Yeah, and I think the reason why that didn't happen is because I have that awareness now of myself that I've been taught. Like, I'm really glad that I waited until I was 6 years sober to start doing comedy. So I was 6 years sober, and I had been through the steps a few times. And yeah, I didn't lose my recovery. There was a time where I was really waning. You know, I'm like a once or twice a week guy.
At this point.
Yeah, and I'll go, you know what's funny is when I'm on the road, I'll go to more.
That makes sense though.
Because a lot of times there's nothing to do. I just got to kill time.
Yeah.
I go to museums and I listen to weird music on my headphones.
Sure. And go to meetings.
That. Yeah, go to meetings and stuff like that.
No, I started doing this show when I had 4 months.
That's crazy, dude.
I had 4 months. I didn't know what to do. I had a band that sucked. I wanted to do something, and Chris was like, "We should do something creative." And I was like, "You don't know how to do anything creative." Yeah. But he had crazy drug stories, and but it's funny how that goes. You know what I mean? Like, I know that Dopey's kind of part of my recovery, but it's really like what I wanted to do, and I fell in love with it.
Do you see the blurred edges between your artistic passions, your recovery, and your family and your life? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Because people always think that like Dopey's my program, and I'm like, that is not my fucking program.
But it's also not part of your program.
Can't not be.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point in the middle of it where I stopped going to meetings, and I was working. You know, I still have a job.
Yeah.
So like, I was waiting tables. I was doing the show, and we were living in an apartment on Long Island. I'd gotten back together with my wife. We had a kid, and I wasn't going to meetings because I was so hooked on Dopey. You know, me and Chris were so obsessed with it. And then he died. Yeah. We had a second kid. He died, and I was like, I got to get back to meetings. And then and then I also think like I needed material for the show. Yeah. How could I do a show about, the show wasn't supposed to be about recovery. It's supposed to be about drugs, addiction, and dumb shit.
I know.
You know, and then like, how could I do the show without being in program? I needed it. Yeah. You know, so that's the blurred, and my family won't survive if I'm not in program.
I read, you know, I watched some of the podcast clips. And I listened to an episode, and you were talking about this 7-Eleven, and I can't remember who you had on, but there's something to be said for if your motivation is in the right place. And
sometimes it is.
But you know what I'm saying, though? If your motivation is in the right place and you have people around you that you trust, like, you really can't go wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And with comedy, so much of like what my life is now is like really trying to let go. And it's so scary.
What does that mean? Like,
if I have the right people around me and I'm putting the right energy into the world, and I'm really, it's funny is I feel like most of my recovery is the Serenity prayer. Like, it's just like what I can't control. And when you are a working artist like that, I hate the term artist even because like
it's great though, because it's like a pioneer, explorer. It's more than an artist.
But one other thing is I love, so like think about stand-up comedy, right? And this is why I love stand-up so much, okay? Like think about performing arts, right? And you have all the way, here we are in New York. What is it? Isn't it Carnegie Hall?
Sure.
Isn't that in New York?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
And let's say, what's the most famous opera of all time?
The Metropolitan Opera House.
Yeah, the Metropolitan Opera House, and it's Carmen.
Right.
And it's the best version of Carmen that the world's ever seen.
Right.
They just extended it for a longer run. And then there's me in Peoria talking about finger banging a homeless lady under a tarp.
It's all the same thing.
It's a spectrum.
Yeah.
Right?
We're on the spectrum for sure.
I am in the game.
I get it.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
Like I'm not that.
But you're also not that.
But I could hang out with that. I could hang out with somebody who's doing Carmen and they could tell me about a feeling that they had on stage where they felt connected to a crowd. And like, I know what that is. Like I am now, and as long as my motivation is in the right place, and as long as I keep working hard, I don't have anything to worry about. I've left it all on the table. Like I don't have, like, if this is it, let's say I walk out of here and like New York freaks me out. It's so busy. And like, I'm probably going to get run over today.
I doubt it.
I don't know.
I don't see that happening to you.
I think I'm a jaywalker.
I am the jaywalker.
But I'm just saying that like, I don't want it, but also like, man, like I'm doing good, dude. Like I'm cool, man. Like,
just look around.
I will.
Please look both ways before you. Now I'm concerned.
No, I'm saying something that I wasn't trying to say.
The point is that if you die today,
I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah, I'm okay. Because I think that I have put more good things into the world than bad. And also that dude that I hated, I don't know that guy anymore. I'm getting to know this. It's been
your dad or you?
Both. I'm coming up. June will be 17 years.
Sick.
And I'm okay with me, dude. I don't love me. I don't know if I will. But I'm like 50. I always say this, man. I'm 51% happy. And that's sick, dude.
It's enough.
More than enough.
People ask me all the time, how are you doing? I always say the same thing. I'm mostly good.
Yeah. Mostly good.
It's enough.
Mostly good.
It's fine.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. Well, that's my litmus test with everything.
Yeah,
as long as it's not horrible, it's great.
Yeah.
As long as it's okay. You know what I mean? Dude, I appreciate you coming through. You laid it all out.
It's a second though. I have to do this because I did write. Look, I did this story for Dopey. Okay, can I tell you one story?
Please.
Okay.
I was ending because I thought you had a phone call.
No. So one time I love this story. I got classified as maximum security when I was incarcerated at 19. And which is a really stupid thing for a 19-year-old like hippie to have that happen, but I pulled it off. I remember I was in a Thirsty County jail in this place called Post 5, which is easy time. Do you guys do a lot of jail stories on here?
Yes.
Okay. So Post 5, you're basically a trustee, okay? It's easy time. It really is. There's 4 TVs and like it's an annex, so you got to sleep in a room with a bunch of other dudes and that sucks, but there's no lockdowns, right? easy time. I was so happy I made it down there, you know, and I had no infractions, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, every night I would take a shower at 9:55 because lights out was at 10. And I like to take a hot shower to help me sleep. Anyway, I was in the shower one time, right? 19 years old. And this dude named Officer Caldwell, and that's his real name, and I'm using it on purpose. He turned off the hot water early while I was in the shower. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, dude, hey, I got a couple minutes. Why are you doing that? And he goes, Sam, I'm really busy. And I thought we were cool. Not like I'm ever going to be like all the way cool with the guard, but like I thought we were all right. And he goes, Miller, why don't you just take a shower tomorrow? And I'm like, hey, man, like I'm working hard to follow the rules and you should follow this rule. That only seems fair to me, man. I'm really trying, man. We've been cool, man. Like, come on, Caldwell. Like, don't turn the hot water back on. I got shampoo in my hair. And he's like, Miller, I need you to take a shower tomorrow. And I snapped, right? And he said that. She was like, why don't you take a shower tomorrow? And I lost it. I was like, why don't you fucking suck my dick, motherfucker? And I went out of the shower completely naked and started backing this guard down towards a wall. He backs up, hits the button that calls more guards. The bitch button is what we used to call it. And right at that time, like, you know, in like those moments of clarity, just like when I was on that cliff looking at the fire and all these moments and under the tarp, like a moment of clarity, all of a sudden I was like, I'm naked and I'm trying to fight a guard. And I laid on the ground. I was like, I'm so sorry, dude. I didn't mean it. All the other inmates were just like, oh, like, and yeah, I got classified as maximum security from that. And I wound up in a federal holding facility in Yakima, Washington. And it was the worst place I've ever been in my life. I wound up doing a bunch of time.
How much time did you do there?
I did 90 days in Yakima. I had already done like 45 there. And then they brought me back early. And you'll love this. And I just like, the whole time I was locked up that time, I was like, I can never drink again. Like, I'm an alcoholic. I cannot drink.
You knew it then.
And I knew it. And I was like, I even went to a couple meetings. I was like, I'm never drinking again. There was a bus that went back to Thurston County every 2 weeks. They send me back to Thurston County, right? I'm in my cell block. I'm like, I'm getting out in like 10 days. I was so excited. And I was like reading my big book and doing all my stuff. And then it's the morning, right? It's like 8 a.m. And this guy goes, CO goes, Miller, court. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was getting out. I got another charge. We're walking. I'm like, what's going on? You know, like, why do I got another charge? And he goes, it's an ERH. And I was like, ERH? What the hell is ERH? Can you guess?
No, tell me.
Early release hearing.
Wow.
So I had been locked up, one of the worst jails, a jail that got federally indicted and shut down. The Yakima jail got shut down because of what they were doing. I am on my way and I'm sitting in that courtroom the whole time I was locked up. Don't drink, don't drink, don't drink. And then I find out I'm getting out early.
You're like, I gotta drink.
I was like, man,
I can't wait till I get out of here.
Tonight, dude, let's go.
No, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because it's also like there's some weird cosmic confluence to getting the early release because you've made that decision that you're not going to drink, and the second you get it, it's done.
Yeah. It really is. It's like that. And then I remember that night I get drunk, and I'm gonna get laid. I'm laying in the front yard of this house on the east side up on Wilson Street. And people in Olympia that listen to this, they'll know what house I'm talking about, the black house on Wilson Street. I'm laying in the front yard. I'm staring at the stars. My girlfriend, who's also sober now, we had a really rocky relationship. I'm staring at the stars. I'm drunk. I'm high. I know I'm going to get laid. And I looked at the stars, and in that moment, I felt so alone. And I knew I was screwed, and I knew I was going to get locked up again. And it's weird. I used to think that the reason I felt like that was because the universe and the stars are so big and I was so small. But now looking back, what it was is that I know that no matter what I do, there's nothing, I can't control those stars. And I cannot control the fact that I'm like an addict and an alcoholic. And I cannot control the fact that I'll never drink and use. And I think the difference between that person and this person is that I accept that.
Right.
Like I accept that. And I've even gone so far as to like
embrace it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Well, it's like what you say about the Serenity prayer is your program. It's like absolute acceptance, and then knowing it's like when you're sitting at the table with your mom and the principal, and it's like fuck you. It's the opposite of acceptance. It's the opposite of surrender. Yeah. And then in the end, it's like, no, like what is really happening, and what can I accept, and what can't I accept, and how do I live with it?
Yeah, and you know, and knowing that, I think sometimes we're always like, how do I know the difference? And I always say it's like that we version, like no, like we can find out the difference. Like you got to talk to people, and
I love that because it's like in my meeting, like there's a lot of old timers in my meeting, and they don't know about the we version
of the Serenity
and the new jacks. Like the younger people are like, let's close with the we version of the Serenity prayer, and like Ray the Clamor is like, what the fuck is the we version? And it's like Ray, they've been doing it for.
His name's Ray the Clamor.
Ray the Clamor.
That's sick.
Yeah, he's amazing guy. But the first place I went to meetings was Narcotics Anonymous in Manhattan, and they always close with the we version, and I loved the we version, and I understand what you're saying. But Sam, I think you really did a very nice job. Did you have a good time?
You know, I fucking did, and I needed this shit today. I've been like, you know, I was only home for a day after my last tour, and you know, I have been talking to my sponsor, doing that kind of stuff, but this was absolutely wonderful. This is honestly one of the better interviews I've ever had. And
you were amazing.
Yeah, it felt really good.
You felt
and
at
it's
home
cool because I also felt like I was honest about the whole wanting to kill my mom thing. And
who doesn't want to kill their mom at some point? You know? Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Listen, you did amazing.
It's not just that I wanted to kill my mom, it's that you're also normalizing it, and that rules. You're like, it happens all the time.
Well, this show is all about like blaming your parents for your drug addiction. And you know, my dad, it's the worst. Yeah. This room is going to be called the Alan Mannheim Memorial Dopey Studio, but we're going to do it before he dies.
Dude, I want him to name the airport in Olympia after me, because I feel like I'm like, my trajectory on my career is like pretty good. And like, I love airplanes, and I live right by the airport in Tumwater.
Just keep going.
I just say, like, why, if you're going to name something for me after I die.
You want it to be the airport.
Yeah, and I want him to do it now.
Well, you got lot to go. I mean, why isn't it the Kurt Cobain airport? Wasn't he an Olympia guy?
He was in Olympia a lot.
He didn't get the fucking airport.
No, you wouldn't want to fly out of Kurt Cobain.
I think I might want to. How do we get it to be Sam Miller Airport? What are you going to do? What's the plan?
I'm just going to have to I'll have to talk to him.
No, you just need to keep going. You're doing great.
Okay, good. I'll just keep going.
All right, very good, Sam. I have socks for you too.
Oh, nice. Let's go.
Excellent. I think you were great.